What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to make YouTube thumbnails using Photoshop and my own personal strategy to make amazing thumbnails in just, I don't know, 2 minutes or so. So to get started, all you need to do is open up Photoshop here, go to File and make a new layer. The new layer we're going to create is going to be 1280 by 720, and we're just going to call this YouTube thumbnail. Of course, you have to know what you're going to be making the thumbnail about. In my case, I just did a video on Gordon Ramsay, this one right here. So I'm going to have, Gordon Ramsay's face kind of cut out like Ryan Reynolds here with some big text and, maybe some cool effects in the background to kind of liven him up, make him look a little cooler. So now that we know what we're doing and we have ourselves a nice little template here, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a color. Let's say, I don't know, green. Pick the paint bucket tool and paste a color in there. That's our layer 0. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to unsplash.com and look something up like space, for example. I'm going to make sure that the orientation is landscape. And I'll find something that's kind of cool, has a little bit of texture, something like this. I think this is really nice. And I'll download that. After I've downloaded it, I will drag and drop it into my Photoshop layer. Let's make it about this size, and then I will bring the opacity down to like 25, maybe 30%. And the reason for this is just to have a little bit of texture in the background. Another thing I'll do is I'll go to my filter menu, and I'll also add a little bit of noise. That noise will just give it a little bit more texture, and I'll also go to the other like layer filter of just our blue or our green color rather, and I'll also add a little bit of noise, but I'm going to make sure it's like a really tiny bit of noise. I don't want too much noise. There we go. I think that should be fine. Next up, I want to get a photo of Gordon Ramsay. So looks like I misspelled his name there. Let's go to images. This one looks pretty nice. Copy, paste, save, drag, and then drop. And now we have Gordon Ramsay. We're going to make that the top layer. And I'm probably going to want to position him like, I don't know, something like that, probably. So I'm going to use the magic select tool here, quick selection tool, to select just Gordon Ramsay in this layer. And most of the time it's pretty easy. I mean, if you have a high quality photograph with kind of very well-defined and very opaque background, it's usually like an absolute breeze. Sometimes it might be a little bit tougher, in which cases you got to zoom in a little bit, make sure that, his ears are being captured, his hair is being captured, and so on and so forth. The cool thing about this too is you can actually make this a little bit smaller. So let's go down to like 16 or 17 and just do the real ends of his hair there. And then if you hold the Alt key, you can actually deselect some hair as well, or rather just you can deselect a selection too. So looking around, I'm pretty happy with that. All you got to do from here on out is we're going to Alt SMS. That's the select tab, then modify, then smooth. I'm going to smooth the radius by about 15 there, and then I hold Control and I press J. That's going to create a new layer. So now I have my own independent kind of almost like magically cut out layer of Gordon Ramsay. I'm then going to kind of tilt him as necessary, make sure that he doesn't look kind of weirdly cut off. And I'd say, that's probably good. I want his head something like that. Like I'm looking at a few of my other thumbnails, and I think that would be a good place for it. Another thing we got to do after that is we need a text layer. So I'm going to open a text layer. Let's make the font like, I don't know, 45 or something like that. And what are we going to say? We're just going to say Gordon Ramsay. That's what we're going to do. We're actually going to make it a little lower even. And it appears that the next level or layer is being cut off. So I'm assuming that just has something to do with this. I'm going to auto that. Make this text white. That looks good. It looks like my going theme here is to have everything in caps. So I'm going to go Gordon Ramsay. Maybe 37. No, let's do 30. It's probably a little bit better. I mean, obviously still not good, this would look like a 5th grade kind of design. So we're not just going to stick with that. One thing we have to do is we have to pick a font. So a font I really like for YouTube is Railway. Railway is offered by Google Fonts for free. All you need to do is go to the Railway page, download it. You'll have a zip file. You can extract that zip file. And then just go into static, and you'll actually be able to download all the fonts. You can also just download the variable fonts, but sometimes that doesn't work with Photoshop. Let's give it a try here, and if it doesn't work, we'll double back and do the other fonts. Great, so it's installing Railway. If we go back here now, let's type Railway. Let's see if it's here. Okay, cool. Yeah, it actually looks like it's here, which is really nice. Let's do Railway Black. Little text trick for you guys. A lot of the time in bad, poor designs, the spacing on the line is a little bit too high. So here it's auto. If we were to bring this down to like 25 or something, that would look a lot better. And we can make this something like -20. And just clearing up some tabs here. Yeah, we can even make that a little bit bigger. We can go like... Oops, I wanted to play with the actual font size here. We can do like 36 probably. And then the space between them could be like 34, I'd say, 33. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Okay, great. We're starting to get there, but still looks kind of funky. The background layer to me is kind of a little too green, a little too childish. So I'm going to change it to something like blue. I'm going to darken it a little bit. Decrease the saturation so that it's like more just this cool kind of universe vibe. And I'm going to adjust the text so it's more kind of in the middle here. Then I'm going to transform this text and then skew it just a little bit. I find that good text designs are almost always skewed. So let's do, let's do up. Just about like 2 or 3 degrees. That goes a long way toward making it look a little bit more normal. The next step is Gordon's cutout looks really weird here, so I'm going to go to Layer, Blending Options on Gordon's layer, and then go to Stroke. Now stroke, it really depends on what your default setting is. Mine is this like huge white stroke. Yours is probably going to look a little different. But stroke is just a quick and easy way to kind of add a little bit of life to any design and I guess make characters pop just a little bit more. So I usually use something like 18, 19. You can use whatever opacity you want. I'm just going to go with 100 here at, let's do 17. Yeah, maybe even less. Let's do like 16. Yeah, there you go. That should be good. And now, Gordon's popping a little bit more. He's looking a little better. One more thing that a lot of people like to add to their kind of cutouts is an outer glow. This outer glow is a little harsh and it's kind of very distinct. You can clearly tell. So we're going to make it a little, we're going to spread it a little less and then open up the size a lot. So it's just like this soft kind of brightening right around Gordon Ramsay's body. And we are going to zoom out a little bit. Let's just check the design. I think this is just a little bit too big. So there's a little trick you can use in Photoshop. If you just click V first, select the text, and then hold Control, press T, or Command if you're on a Mac, you can actually kind of like drag and drop the, drag and open and close the window like this to kind of make it bigger as opposed to playing with the font sizes. So that's pretty nice. I'm going to make the font just a little bit smaller. And then now that I'm thinking about it, why don't I make this a little bit more clickbaity, like don't do, and then let's go this. Let's do this, yeah. Don't do this. And we're going to make this a color that pops a lot. So a good color for that is some type of like neon yellow. A lot of people see that as they're scrolling down their feed, and that's just like really powerful. Really gets people's attentions. That's a little too green for me, so I'm just going to go just a little bit down and go like electric yellow like this. Yeah, that looks better to me. There are obviously still a couple things that you could do for this design. The biggest one is probably we could change how thick the text is at various places. So this don't here can be pushed out a little bit wider to better match the width of the don't do this. So if we go like 30, for example, we can even go like 40, and then we can change the size of this text to like, I don't know, 40 or something like that. We'll go a little bit smaller actually. And then we can take this same color, might even be able to apply it to this and then make this one white. That looks a little bit better to me. I'd say we're looking pretty good. The last thing that you need for like one of those really cool clickbaity thumbnails is you need a little bit of shadow, you need a little bit of effects on this text. So I'm going to go to the text layer here and I'm going to add a very small drop shadow. It's going to be a very slight drop shadow. It's going to be very difficult to even tell that there is a drop shadow there, but I assure you there is one. If you just slowly kind of toggle this, you'll notice that it is indeed toggled. We're going to make this a little bit smaller and less soft. So right here, the size is super big. So first of all, we're going to make the opacity much darker. Let's give it a little bit of distance. Make the spread just a little bit more. And then bring the size down to something manageable like this. And now that we can kind of see it, we can bring the opacity down. For angle, I'm going to go kind of diagonally here, like this, just to make it so that it looks like there's a light coming from this top left-hand corner, okay? So this is without the shadow, that's with the shadow. Without the shadow, that's with the shadow. The shadow gives it just a little bit more depth to that text, and makes it a little bit easier to read. Really depends on the kind of design that you're going for, but in this kind of clickbaity design, this type of thing works best. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for an arrow of some kind. So I'm just going to look for a vector arrow. Let's do a curved arrow. Something like this. And this is just an example here. I'm not 100% sure whether or not this is licensed. So I'm really just using this to show you guys. I won't be using this in the final design. Just drag and drop that layer over here. Unfortunately, it looks like the background is not really going to be cooperating with us here. So, I mean, I could fix this in another method. I'm just going to create a new layer from that black arrow like this, and then twist it up like this. We're going to make it a little bit smaller, just so you can't really see all of the imperfections, and then tilt it up so that it's pointing at his face. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to make the color equal to this color here. Unfortunately, it's going to be kind of difficult to do that smoothly. Yeah, because you have a little bit of, I believe it's called anti-aliasing or aliasing on the outside. But we can help that by dragging, holding Alt and then clicking the effects panel on the text to drag that effect over to our arrow as well. And that kind of defines the arrow a little bit more, makes it a little bit better. So a couple last finishing touches. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, make it pop just a tiny bit more, position it a little bit better. And yeah, I think that's it. Don't do this with a big arrow pointing towards them. That's how you get a design that looks kind of like this. Now all I'm going to do is export this. So exporting as a PNG, all I do is hold Control, Shift, Alt, and W. If you're on a Mac, it's probably Command, Shift, Alt, and W. I'm going to call this Gordon Ramsay Thumbnail. So that's exporting the file as a PNG. Then I'm also going to save it as Gordon Ramsay thumbnail.psd. So now I'm saving it as a Photoshop file so that I can always edit it later and kind of reuse the layers. And then boom, I go over to the YouTube channel in question. I'm going to go to YouTube Studio and head on over. Oops, this is actually the wrong YouTube Studio. Why don't I go back to Nixaraf here? And then I will edit this and then upload a new thumbnail. So upload thumbnail. There you go. That is now the thumbnail of the video, and dare I say it looks a lot more professional. Well, I guess professional is kind of a loose term. Definitely looks a lot more clickbaity. I noticed that my views started going way up ever since I started applying clickbaity thumbnails like that. But yeah, I hope that helps. This is both a programming and a design channel, so I wanted to get some design in. And yeah, I'm totally watching South Park right now. I'll be doing that immediately after this.